Oh my God.
So I'm like, hey man, I'll take you in the back and make you cry, like make you scream, dude. Like, what are you talking about? But if I make it, we even. So I'm like, oh, all right. So I shoot, I make it, boom. He shot, he missed, bam. I said, so you got me 100? And he was like, bet. I'm like, all right. So I shot, I make it. He shot, he make it. So I'm like, you still owe me 100?
Yeah. That's the...
And so he like, no, we even. I start laughing. I'm like, dude, you owe me 100.
Terence Crawford didn't hold back in a live interview, this time firing straight at Floyd Mayweather. He called him a clout chaser, a man chasing easy headlines and even easier paydays. According to Crawford, Floyd's recent tweets weren't about competition. They were about desperation, an aging legend poking at the new king just to stay relevant. He's broke, hating on my biggest win, and looking for another payday to feed his expensive lifestyle, Crawford said, dismissing the idea of fighting him. For Crawford, it's not about easy money grabs. And if you've seen Floyd's recent exhibitions, you'll know exactly why. Because the man who once defined greatness is now a shadow of his prime.
If the opportunity presented itself against Floyd, you would have, though, even though you admire him so much and he's so great. But you
Floyd, yeah, because
Terence Crawford doubled down, calling Floyd Mayweather not just desperate, but downright unlikable. A man who's been clawing at the spotlight ever since Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo. He claimed Floyd isn't the kind of figure young fighters should look up to, because outside the ring, there's nothing in his lifestyle worth emulating. And here's where it gets dramatic. Just days after Crawford dethroned Canelo Alvarez to become the undisputed super middleweight champion, a new challenger appeared. But not the kind Crawford respects. It was Floyd Mayweather, 5-division world champion, Hall of Famer, and a legend with rusty hands itching for relevance, now trying to drag Crawford into a fight he has no interest in taking.
Shooting the ball, and this dude just come over there and like bet 100. I'm like, what? He like bet 100? Bet 100 on what? He like shot for shot, bet 100. So I'm like, so I make it, you give me a
play the part.
Canelo said he's way better than Mayweather. What do you think to that?
Who, Terence?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course he is.
What do you want to see?
What do you really want to see from Floyd? Before the fight, he kept his lips sealed. No predictions, no words of support for Terence Bud Crawford. But the moment Crawford's hand was raised in victory, suddenly Floyd was there, flashing a betting slip, bragging about the money he made off a win he never publicly backed. And just when the spotlight was shining brightest on Crawford, Floyd jumped back on social media, not to congratulate him, but to call him out. Crawford's response? Brutal. He fired right back, dismissing Floyd as delusional, maybe even drunk, and made it clear. This fight isn't worth his time.
How do you beat Floyd, though? Like, since nobody's been able to crack that code.
You think I would tell you?
He ain't fighting anymore. So that fight ain't gonna happen.
Ilia Topuria could knock out Bud Crawford on first contact. Is there any truth to it? Why is it always the MMA guys gotta go box? It doesn't sell. James Toney and the UFC lost a whole bunch of money with him. If Ilia Topuria really could beat up Terence Crawford, why didn't he go into boxing? Ilia is our champion. After seeing Conor, who could not make an amateur...
And if that wasn't enough drama, Saturday night brought another twist. As Crawford made his grand entrance to Canción del Mariachi, from the film Desperado, the same track UFC lightweight champion Ilia Topuria uses for his walkouts, the fighter didn't take it lightly. Crawford, 37, brushed off the overlap in the post-fight press conference, but Taporia wasn't letting it slide. He jumped on social media with fire saying, "First he calls me drunk, then he walks out to my song." And he didn't stop there. Taporia challenged Crawford directly. "Whenever you want, I'll teach you how to dance that mariachi in the ring. And Canelo, don't worry, I'll save you a round after him."
When I looked at it, he came out in the southpaw stance and he took Canelo's jab away from him. As you know, if you take a fighter's jab away from them, then it's hard for them to really land. You force them to use one shot, and he forced them to use his backhand, his rear hand. Crawford was ready for the loop in the right hands. Crawford was ready for the body shots.
Carried the song out and performed tonight. I got Mexicans and Latinos on my side as well, so.
Did you know Ilia Topuria walks out to that song in the UFC?
You said what?
Ilia Topuria walks out to that song in the UFC.
Did he? Oh, Good for him.
Crawford didn't just brush off Taporia's latest call-out. He buried it. On Ariel Helwani's show, he flat out called Taporia a clout chaser, not even close to being on the level of Conor McGregor. "I definitely think he's chasing clout," Crawford said. "He'd jump in the ring with me just for the paycheck. That's what we all do it for. But honestly, I don't know what he's thinking. There ain't even nothing to talk about." He went further, admitting he'd never even seen Topuria fight, and questioning why the UFC champ never spoke up when they crossed paths at the UFC Performance Institute in Vegas just months ago. "When he saw me at the UFC, he came up, shook my hand, said what's up. I didn't even know who he was," Crawford added, making it clear he sees no reason to entertain the noise.
Crawford stated, "I don't know who he is." Ilia's mad. It works every time, and Ilia went crazy. Ilia's just, "You don't know who I was. I met you at this." When Ilia responds with truth, when he brings the receipts and the facts, that's what you do when you're angry.
Crawford didn't hold back as he continued tearing into Taporia. "Then I see him online talking about how he'll knock me out in the first round, all this and that," Crawford said. "If you really wanted to fight me, you had the chance to say it to my face. Hey man, I want to fight you. What's up? But you didn't. That's fake." And while boxing versus MMA crossovers have raked in huge paydays before, Crawford made it clear he sees zero value in this one. "What money would I get out of fighting him? Tell me how much I'd get," he pressed. He slammed any comparison to the 2017 Mayweather-McGregor blockbuster, saying, "He's nowhere near Conor's level. Let's be real. Don't even compare him to Conor." Then, with a laugh, he added, "Like I said, I don't know this guy. I've never seen this guy fight. And I watch a lot of MMA. Maybe I'm slipping."
Having none of it is like, who the f*** is that guy? He's not on my level. He's not on Conor McGregor's level. What the hell is going on? I mean, come on, let's be honest. Jake Paul's fighting Gervonta Davis. If that can happen, or him fighting Mike Tyson, if there's a world that we live in where that can go down and get watched by millions of people on them.
Maybe he's a dangerous fighter. I don't know. I've honestly never seen this man in action while I've watched Conor McGregor a dozen times. Never ever claim they're equals. It barely took a moment for the UFC star to strike back, and when he did, it came with a prediction sharp as a jab about how their fantasy collision would unfold. "You say you're an MMA fan, but you don't even know who I am," Taporia wrote on X, voice cool and cruel. He reminded Crawford that when they first met, he'd wished him luck, proof that memory can be selective and reputation's fragile. "Your memory fails you, and soon your chin will too," he warned, pledging to represent MMA and prove pound-for-pound talking is real.
Was always willing to risk it. Ilia, I believe, is willing to risk it. Ilia versus Crawford. Am I wasting my time talking to you guys about that? Maybe not. There's not yet something here, but there's not nothing here either.
But then came a twist from an unlikely source, fellow boxer Shakur Stevenson. On Ariel Helwani's show, Stevenson made a bold prediction that flipped the narrative on its head. Terence Crawford, he claimed, might actually be the boxer who could beat an MMA fighter at his own game. His comments raised more than a few eyebrows, but Stevenson stood firm, pointing to Crawford's roots back in Nebraska. Long before he became a boxing superstar, Crawford wrestled, and according to Stevenson, those grappling skills could be the key that lets him survive, and even dominate, inside the octagon against Taporia.
Gotta leave Bud alone. I think Bud Crawford is just different. In a boxing ring with him, bro, you're not gonna last more than one round, I don't think. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in the UFC and beat the out of some guys too, because he got a great wrestling background.
"I think that dude's just different," Stevenson said with conviction. "Bud's bigger than Taporia, and honestly, I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't be surprised if fight night came and, under MMA rules, Bud knocked him out, or even choked him out. Something like that." To Stevenson, it wasn't just hype. It was a genuine belief rooted in Crawford's past. His wrestling background from Nebraska, he argued, gives Crawford a hidden weapon, one that could carry over if he ever stepped inside a cage. And while it might sound like typical fighter trash talk, Stevenson's tone suggested otherwise. He truly sees Crawford's athleticism and wrestling foundation as tools that could flip the script and make him dangerous in an MMA fight.
Obviously, it was a great show today. I was curious about your entrance, how you came to choose that song in particular to walk out to.
Well, you know, it was part of my outfit. The outfit was inspired by the movie Desperado. As you see, I had the guitar and everything, and my great childhood friend, Rosendo Robles, he was the one that, you know, carried the song out.
Terence Crawford had the goddamn audacity to walk out to Ilia Topuria's Walkout song. I mean, what on earth is going on? How dare he? That is Ilia Topuria's song, okay? Ilia Topuria took exception to this in a very big way, and now these two are going back and forth. They are talking shit, and Crawford ain't having...
Former two-division UFC champion Daniel Cormier isn't buying into the hype, and his reasoning cuts sharp. In his eyes, a Crawford versus Topuria crossover just doesn't hold water. And here's why. Topuria isn't even close to McGregor's star power. And Crawford isn't the type of fighter who would carry an opponent just to make things look competitive. On the Good Guy and Bad Guy show, Cormier laid it out plain. What Conor did by going as long as he did with Floyd Mayweather was probably some of the most surprising stuff I've ever seen in combat. Same with Francis Ngannou pushing Tyson Fury to the brink. Those moments shocked me. But in Crawford's case, Cormier doesn't see him giving Taporia or anyone else that kind of mercy.
How did that feel to hear that from someone like him?
I just was like, well, you know, it's his personal opinion. He was in the ring with both of us, so a lot of people, you know, they can say what they want, but he's actually been in the ring with both of us. You know, one where he felt like he was at the best.
I would have expected Tyson Fury to handle Francis the way Anthony Joshua did, Cormier admitted. But the truth is, guys like Fury and Mayweather know how to keep an opponent in there, make it look competitive, make the fans feel good about what they're watching. To him, Ilia Topuria is clearly taking pages out of McGregor's playbook. But the problem is simple. He doesn't have the stardom yet to pull it off. And here's where Cormier added a twist. Crawford, in fact, could benefit from fighting Topuria. I think that's what's actually going to stop him from getting the fight, DC explained. But when you're Terence Crawford, and you've been chasing big opportunities your entire career, could an Ilia Topuria fight somehow end up being the biggest thing on the table?
UFC world, Ilia Topuria says that if you guys ever boxed, he would knock you out basically the first punch.
That dude drunk, you know. Hey, you know, a lot of MMA guys, they drink a lot, so he must have been on that.
Because really, who else is out there for Crawford to fight that could bring in a bigger, fresher fan base than me? Topuria argued, insisting there's more weight to this than people think, especially since Bud has shown respect for the UFC and didn't outright dismiss him. But while Taporia is brimming with confidence, convinced he could shock the world against the newly crowned undisputed super middleweight king inside a boxing ring, not everyone is buying the hype. Michael Chiesa told MMAJunkie.com he wants no part of this fantasy matchup. Absolutely not, Chiesa said flatly, shutting the door on the idea before it could even gather momentum.
Used to go outside and pay kids money to beat her son up. I'm paying y'all real cash money to beat my son, and nobody got the money. I'm like, wait, I'm betting on that guy.
You betting on that guy?
We lost Conor McGregor after the Floyd Mayweather fight, Chiesa explained. That's not the goal with Zuffa boxing. If we pulled Taporia into that same space, it would be the same story. It becomes part of their MO. He admitted that anything is possible in combat sports, but he drew a clear line between Mayweather and Crawford. Floyd is different from Crawford. I'm not saying Crawford doesn't know how to promote a fight, Chiesa added, but Floyd was a master at it.
UFC, Ilia Topuria, and fight with the #1 boxer right now. If you can do that, why not do that?
We did see Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua.
And you think Topuria can fight with him?
I don't. You asked me straight up, I do not think so, because Crawford is not going to enter a fight.
He was slick with it, throwing little jabs, cracking jokes, selling his brand with every word, Chiesa said of Mayweather. Bud doesn't need that. He sells himself because he can flat out fight. He's just that damn good. And Floyd was too. But Ilia? He's no Conor. That was a one-of-one moment. Peak Conor McGregor trash talk. The ultimate show. That was electric. Ilia's fun, sure, but he doesn't have that razor-sharp tongue Conor had. And that, Chiesa argued, is the missing ingredient. To make a fight of this magnitude work, you need two larger-than-life figures from two different worlds, both talking in ways that force everyone to pay attention. UFC CEO Dana White, however, has long drawn the line. He's made it clear he doesn't want his fighters dabbling in the sweet science. The lone exception came in 2017, when he helped bring Mayweather versus McGregor to life. But even now, with a tighter grip on boxing promotion, Dana's stance hasn't changed.
I never seen this guy fight. And I watch a lot of MMA.
Hey, guys, Bud is saying that ain't worth his time. But Ilia Topuria, in this right now, guys, is winning. He's winning because he has them talking about him. And every time, Terence Crawford speaks Ilia's name, Ilia wins. That's another step closer to getting to...
Terence Crawford has now been warned. Stay away from Ilia Topuria. The chatter of a crossover bout only grew louder after Crawford flipped the script last weekend, shocking the world by dethroning Canelo Alvarez with a unanimous decision to become the undisputed super middleweight champion. But it wasn't just the win that sparked headlines. It was the walkout. Inside Allegiant Stadium, under the Netflix spotlight, Crawford made his entrance to El Matador by Antonio Banderas, the very same anthem Taporia uses in the UFC. Crawford later brushed it off, saying it was a tribute to Banderas, not a dig at Taporia. But for fans on both sides, the message felt louder than the music. It looked like a shot fired.
Out and tweets, if I were to face Terence Crawford in boxing, I would put him to sleep. Now, this was after Terence Crawford went on the Nelk Boys podcast. Kyle said, who do you think the best boxer in the UFC is? Have you seen Ilia? He goes, oh no, it's easily Cody Garbrandt.
Have you seen Taporia? Have you seen his fights recently?
Speculation of a Crawford-Taporia super fight only grows louder because, after toppling Canelo Alvarez, Crawford has little left to prove in boxing. With his career nearing its twilight, the lure of one last massive payday, a crossover spectacle, could be hard to resist. After all, Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor and Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou showed just how lucrative these events can be. But not everyone is cheering it on. Former UFC middleweight champion Michael Bisping has sounded the alarm, warning Crawford against chasing the cash. In Bisping's eyes, stepping into a spectacle with Taporia doesn't add to Crawford's greatness. It risks staining the legacy he's spent a lifetime building.
Money. What money would I get out of fighting him? Tell me how much I'm gonna get out of fighting him.
Floyd made a lot, obviously, to fight Conor.
He's not nowhere near on the level of Conor McGregor. Let's be real, stop it. Don't ever compare him to Conor. Conor was...
When asked if Crawford needed to fight Ilia Topuria, Michael Bisping's answer was blunt. Absolutely not. He reminded everyone that Crawford just pocketed a purse in the ballpark of $50 million and remains undefeated at 37, with a legacy already sealed. He doesn't need to be chasing so-called money fights, Bisping said firmly. To drive the point home, he drew from his own career. After hanging up the gloves, he too was offered a crossover bout, this time against social media star Jake Paul. But Bisping turned it down without hesitation. I'd had a great career. I became the champion, he explained. I wasn't going to lower myself to fighting Jake Paul, and Crawford shouldn't lower himself to fighting Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Cody got them hands.
Obviously, Ilia, that's probably maybe ignited a beef, and Terence Crawford is wrong. Ilia Topuria is the best boxer in the UFC. Does this eventually set up an Ilia into boxing? If Ilia...
Like, you're not going to see a wild part of the fight. Crawford was just going to be too clean, too smooth, too fast, and just keep him at distance the whole time, 36 minutes. They wouldn't even sanction a 12-round fight for Ilia Topuria. He's never fought 36 minutes.
As respected as Ilia Topuria is in the MMA world, a victory over him would add nothing meaningful to Terence Crawford's boxing legacy. On the flip side, Stepping into the UFC cage against El Matador would almost certainly be short-lived, given Crawford's lack of formal MMA training. And while the business side wouldn't be complicated, especially with UFC CEO Dana White now dipping deeper into boxing after helping promote Crawford's triumph over Alvarez, the real question lingers: would it actually benefit either man's career? For all the hype, the answer might just be no.
Seen him wrestle real wrestlers on some everyday shit. Cause Bud looked bigger than that guy. He got longer arms. I wouldn't be surprised come fight night if they do an MMA fight, if Bud done knocked him out sleep or choked him.
But in the eyes of Chael Sonnen, there's something different about Ilia Topuria. Something that reminds him of Conor McGregor. Ilia really will fight anybody. He really will take the risk, Sonnen explained. And that, he said, was the secret ingredient that set McGregor apart. Conor had something that so many fighters tried to copy, tried to duplicate, but they all missed the point. What Conor was really doing was taking the risk. That's what made him special. And Ilia, he's showing the same thing.
Die fight, for sure. I've seen Conor McGregor fight a lot of times. It's night and day. You know it's night and day. Don't ever try to say they on the same level. What we talking about? We not talking about that. Tell that guy to, keep up the good work in his career.
He'd say the words, he'd cut the promo, but then he'd actually make the walk, Sonnen said. There aren't many guys like that. Conor was always willing to risk it, and I believe Ilia is cut from that same cloth. He's willing to risk it too. Ilia versus Crawford. Am I wasting my time even talking about it? Maybe, but maybe not. And with that, the debate lingers. For more breaking stories, heated moments, and game-changing events in the fight world, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.